In 70 years, you have seen a lot of stage and screen stars. What star in the past would you say had the greatest style? Oh, without any doubt, though I don't suppose you've ever seen her, but Miss Bankhead. She had undoubtedly more style than anyone I've ever seen. As an example, she was once in England in a thriller, and when the curtain went up, there was a corpse on the stage. But as it was Miss Bankhead's first entrance, there was wild applause, and she stepped over the corpse. And she came to the footlights and she said, "Thank you, darlings." And then she stepped back over the corpse and said, "Ah!" What are your feelings on psychic phenomena? I've never known any. I've never seen any. I don't think I have any capacity for metaphysical experience. I think really I have enough trouble with the world as it is. I'm interested. I like movies or plays about ghost stories and supernatural experience, but I've never had any such thing. I don't think I'm tuned in to a point where I could receive it. I'm very materialistic. What advice do you have for aspiring writers? Never read. This is very important. If you read books, in order to improve your writing style, you will find yourself trying to write literature instead of saying what you really mean. It's very important not to get caught up in trying to write better American prose. Don't do any such thing. Just try to think, am I saying what I mean? Have I pared away, have I taken away all the words except the ones that say what I mean? And then your writing will be fine. You have the most wonderful writers in America, really great stylists, people like Damon Runyon. And there's no floweriness, no literary effects in the work of Damon Runyon. He's as neat as he can possibly be. One of his stories begins, "Some parties who do not wish him well have put Maury in some quicklime." Have you met the Queen of England? What about her style? Well, I worry about the Queen of England. And I think that what we have to praise is the graciousness with which she has accepted a style suggested to her by others, because it cannot be natural for the fifth richest woman in the world to have a middle-class image. Now, I regret this, and if I were a member of the royal family, I would be wearing my coronet at breakfast. Do you think you have lived another life? If so, who were you? Well, I must say I can't believe in reincarnation. It doesn't seem to me to work. Mr. Gladstone died as a prime minister and came back as a handbag. Lord Cardigan died a born leader of men and came back as a woolly. So that it's not a very good idea. Also, of course, I don't mind having lived before if I don't know. What I wouldn't like is to step out of my mother's womb and think, here again. So I believe what my nature inclines me to believe, which is that I have not lived before and will not live again. The thing I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy is eternal life. What is charisma? I would say charisma was the ability to influence without the use of logic. How do you feel about suicide? Yes, suicide is the style in death. There is no doubt about this. And you have to think about it. You have to have it up your sleeve, because you may be able to die in circumstances which are significant. But if you don't, then you will have to be ready to commit suicide. Well, if you don't, then you have to consider the alternative, which is lying on an iron bedstead in a rented room with people standing round saying, "He can't last much longer." And many people have thrown away their lives, but very few have thrown away their style. Now, Mexico was once ruled by a man called Mr. Villa. And as you know, in Mexico, there's a revolution every Saturday afternoon. And on one of these occasions, he was riding through a Mexican village, and he was shot. And he fell into a greengrocer's shop and lay among the artichokes. And when one of his henchmen rushed up to see if he could be of any assistance, Mr. Villa said, "Don't let it end like this. Say I said something." Do you believe in God? Now, I won't answer this question if it would worry anybody if I did. I don't want to give offense to anybody. Somebody once said, "Why stop now?" when I said that. I can't believe in a God susceptible to prayer. I can't believe that whatever force it is that keeps the spheres revolving in the heavens is going to stop to give me a bicycle with 3 speeds. But if God is the unifying factor, if God is the cell within the cell, the universe that encompasses the universe, the cause behind the cause, and if prayer were a way in which you aligned your body with the forces that flow through the universe, then I would accept prayer. Then I would accept the idea of a God. And don't forget, almost all religions move toward the unifying factor, the God behind the gods, the God of gods. Even the Greeks, they believed in Jupiter. Mind you, he was the only person ever to remain in office after it was discovered he was a sex maniac. But nevertheless, even they wanted this unifying factor. I don't know why the human mind looks for this, but if I could stand on this stage and utter a series of numerals which explained all organic forms, everyone would go mad. It wouldn't make the faintest difference to our lives. It's just that this is what the human mind seeks, the one explanation of everything, which I take to be God. Is that an answer? To what do you attribute the human race's revised opinion of yourself? Well, chiefly, of course, to my having been on television. Perhaps as it's such an important adjunct to your style, I ought to explain how television works. It's like a geography exam. You can't study the whole world. So the night before the test, you get your atlas from its shelf and you open it. And it says China. So you study China. And the next day, the main question in your paper is France. So your answer begins, France is not like China. If you translate that into television terms, it means that you arrive at the studios with a wonderful anecdote about your mother, and some clot says, "How's your father?" And you've a second in which to say, "Father's worn out coping with my mother, who?" So you say what you've come to say, no matter what.